Welcome back, my friends, local and around the world. Great to see you. If you're brand new watching, I just like to tell a little story. Humans are storytellers, and I like to relate it to a spiritual ideal or principle. I'm also working on getting better on being on camera instead of letting my eyes wander all over the place. It's like I have so much to learn. It's amazing, but I love learning most of the time, except for when it's hideous, hard, and difficult. But the topic this week has been plowing forward when we're learning something new and the capacity to get better at things and to stick with the things that we're inspired to do so that we can leave the impression on this earth that we were meant to when we decided to show up at Earth Hotel. But anyway, here's a story for you. And this is a story from the recovery movement. There's a strong element of recovery in our meditation group. If that makes sense to you, great. If it doesn't, don't even give it a second thought. But it's just something some of us relate to because some of us sort of overdid it a lot and we weren't born with an off switch. And so the recovery movement has given us a blessed reprieve from less than optimal habits. But this is a story from the beginning of the recovery movement. And I'm telling it because it's one of Looney's favorite stories. I'm not sure if I can say the story in 3 minutes or 10 minutes, but I think it's worth it. And at the start of the recovery movement, the fellow that started it, his name was Bill, he got sober himself with a great spiritual experience in 1935. And he had this experience while he was at death's doorstep in a recovery hospital in New York City. And he was not a religious or a spiritual person, but he was so desperate and he was so humbled and beaten that he had a glorious spiritual experience and went on not to drink again for the next 36 years of his life. And what's interesting is in his spiritual experience, he was extraordinarily inspired to bring recovery to everyone else that he could. So he jumped right in, and he thought the best way to share sobriety and recovery with people was to talk about his glorious spiritual awakening. And he tried this for 6 months as he was living in New York City, and he achieved exactly zero results. He would talk to drunks all over the place all day long, in the hospital, on the streets, and he would share with them. He said, look, you got to have a big old spiritual experience like me, and then you'll be saved and pious, and you'll be living on the pink cloud that I'm living in. And this resulted in zero results, and he got quite discouraged. 6 months in, he got an opportunity to go on a business call over in Ohio, and he left because this promised him that he would have millions of dollars again. Bill W. was the equivalent of a multi millionaire in the 20s in the stock market, lost it all with his drinking and with the depression. But as he sobered up and as he began to get a little discouraged with helping other people get sober, why not cruise over to Ohio, Akron, and make, a few $1,000,000 on a business deal? What a great idea. And then he'll be back on top of the world. Well, anyway, he goes to Akron, Ohio for the business deal, and it fails miserably. It fails miserably. And he finds himself in a dingy hotel in Akron, Ohio in 1935, all alone. He's managed to get zero other people get sober with his spiritual awakening. Maybe he's crazy. Maybe he's delusional. Maybe a drink would help. So he's sitting in a lobby in a hotel room in Akron, Ohio. And on one side of his vision is a gay bar filled with nice lights and tinkling music. And you know what a bar looks like. We drinkers do. And then over on this other side, there was a phone booth with a telephone directory. And at that moment, he stood at the fork in the road of his life, and in truth and in spirit, the fork in the road for many others' lives, because in that moment, he had the opportunity to give up on the greatest inspiration that had ever been infused inside of him. And in that moment, he paused and he remembered, he said a prayer, and for some miraculous reason, he didn't walk into the bar because he thought, I'll just have one drink. He walked over to the telephone directory and he started calling churches to see who he might find, if he could find a drunk to work with, just someone else to talk to. And after going through 9 different churches, he came to the last one in the directory. And he was, through a serendipitous kismet coincidence beyond all measure, he was hooked up with another guy named Dr. Bob. Well, the story goes on that Dr. Bob heard the message and he got sober. And Bill Wilson decided not to start with his spiritual experience. He began to talk about just the hopelessness of addiction. We call it step 1. The point of me telling this story today is that as the result of Bill sticking with his determination, not giving up, he started a worldwide movement that has saved many millions of lives. Is it the only way to get sober? Is it the only spiritual system? Of course not, but it's the one that really works for a lot of us. And in their wisdom in the recovery movement, they came up with the 11th step, which is what we're doing today. We're seeking through prayer and meditation to increase our conscious contact with God, seeking a great deal of knowledge and power so that we can live to our own highest ideal. So to wrap up this week's topic, as we're learning new things, sometimes we get a pink cloud at the start. It's really fun. In the recovery movement, we see it happen with newcomers all the time. They come in, they start living right, they get happy and joyous. It's a wonderful gift from God. We call it the pink cloud. Sometimes we see newcomers come in, they have a pink cloud, and then life strikes and it gets hard and difficult and challenging. And in truth and in spirit, it doesn't matter whether it's hard and difficult, whether it's pink cloud, unicorns, lollipops, and ecstasy. Stick with it. And that's what we're learning in this meditation group. Stick with it. Stick through the highs and the lows. Meditate when it's incredibly joyful and euphoric. Meditate when it's tedious and it feels like you're sitting on pins and needles, because if we stick with something, especially meditation, especially seeking higher consciousness, there will be a reward beyond all measure, and it is the greatest, most worthwhile thing to pursue in the universe. And now we're doing it together, and the drawing power is amazing. So don't quit 10 years before the miracle. That's what Looney says. Have a beautiful day, and my Zoom group and I will visit tomorrow, Friday. Have a great day, everybody. Please like and subscribe. It makes a huge difference. See you.